What would you do if the people who claimed to love you most turned out to be your greatest betrayers? What if everything you sacrificed, every sleepless night, every dollar saved, was all part of their twisted game? This is Elena's story. And I promise you, it's not what you think. Picture this. You're working 3 jobs, day and night, barely surviving on steamed buns and pickled vegetables. Your body is breaking down, but you push through. Why? Because you believe you're helping the people who matter most. Your parents. Elena believed this too. She juggled those 3 jobs tirelessly, working herself to the bone. The relentless schedule left her exhausted and focused solely on one thing, saving money to clear her biological parents' debts. But here's where the story takes a dark turn. The poor nutrition from her limited diet, it led to something devastating, stomach cancer, at a young age. Can you imagine? Working yourself sick, literally, to help the people you love. When Elena tried to use her hard-earned savings for medical treatment, she discovered something that would shatter her world completely. The $100,000 she had painstakingly saved was gone. "Elena, we used that money to settle our debts," her parents told her casually. "We're left with nothing. Can you wait another month?" She glanced at the doctor's urgent recommendation for immediate hospitalization. The words, "immediate surgery required," stared back at her, but she remained silent. What could she say? These were her parents. The people she'd been searching for her entire life. Later that night, while delivering takeout to make ends meet, Elena's world cracked wide open. She arrived at an elegant mansion hosting a lavish birthday party. And there, surrounding a sophisticated young woman celebrating her birthday, were her parents. Her parents. The same ones who claimed they had no money. The same ones who said they were drowning in debt. They were lavishly spending on this girl, far exceeding what was needed for Elena's medical bills. Designer dresses, expensive jewelry, gourmet food. Everything Elena had dreamed of but never asked for. The truth hit her like a freight train. These people weren't poor. They hailed from a wealthy lineage. The supposed debt, it was all a lie. A test. And the sophisticated young woman. That was Clara, their real daughter who had been mistakenly switched at birth. Elena couldn't recall how she made it back home that night. Leaving that mansion felt like abandoning a part of herself. Even lying in her modest bed, she felt completely numb. She stared blankly at the yellowed ceiling for what felt like an eternity. Then she heard it. The familiar jingle of keys in the old lock. Her parents walked in, having changed out of their expensive attire into plain work uniforms. They looked like a typical working-class couple again. The performance was back on. "Elena, you're home early today." "No work?" her mother asked, surprised. Forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes, Elena responded, "Yeah, I had a headache so I returned early." Her mother, Maria, immediately set aside her bag and approached. She placed her warm hand on Elena's forehead, her voice filled with what seemed like genuine concern. "No fever. Why do you suddenly have a headache? Did you take any medicine?" Elena lied, her eyes cast downward. "Yes, I did." Then her father did something that made Elena's heart break all over again. He picked up a bag and handed it to her with a gentle smile. "Elena, it's your birthday today. We couldn't afford a cake or gifts, but we got you this little dessert. You should try it." Elena glanced at the dessert. It was fancy, something she had never seen before. Previously, she might have been moved to tears, appreciating that her parents remembered her birthday despite their supposed hardships. But now it felt like the cruelest irony imaginable. Because Elena recognized that dessert. She was the one who had delivered it earlier. The pampered girl, Clara, had ordered it on a whim, then scoffed at it once it arrived. "I don't want such cheap things," Clara had said dismissively. "Just throw it away." Elena never expected her parents to present her with that same dessert, especially not as a complimentary gift from the shop. The free leftover that Clara had rejected. "Am I only worth the freebies to you?" Elena thought bitterly. Her heart felt as though it had been drenched in vinegar, sour and bitter. Yet she showed no emotion, simply setting the dessert aside. "Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Mom," she said coldly. Her response confused them. They thought she should be delighted with the dessert. But since she had mentioned not feeling well, they didn't press further, until Elena brought up the money again. "Dad, Mom, I actually need the money urgently. A month is too long. Can you give me the money sooner?" Their expressions changed abruptly, as if she had touched upon something deeply sensitive. The headache was about the money, wasn't it? Her father's face was etched with impatience. "Didn't we tell you, it went to debt?" Her mother also showed disapproval. "Elena, why do you need so much money? Where are we supposed to get $100,000 now? Are you involved in something shady? You weren't like this before." As they lectured her, Elena thought about what she'd witnessed at the mansion. The necklace, a pink diamond the size of a sugar cube. She remembered hearing guests saying it was purchased for over $10 million at an auction. 100 times her savings. Yet when she asked for her own money back, they reprimanded her as if she had committed a serious offense. Elena forced a smile, but the exhaustion weighed heavily on her heart. Never mind, I don't need it anymore. She lay back in bed, and her parents exchanged looks, still displeased but saying nothing more. The apartment fell silent, but Elena couldn't sleep, and then, she heard them speaking softly. Is she asleep? One whispered. Probably, let me check. Elena quickly closed her eyes, pretending to sleep as footsteps approached. Once they were certain she was asleep, they spoke more freely. And what Elena heard next would change everything. How long do we have to stay in this dump? Her mother complained. Hang in there, just one more month, it'll be 3 years by then, we can bring Clara back, her father replied. Elena's blood ran cold. Honey, do you think Elena will be angry that we kept this from her? Her mother sounded worried. What for? Her father dismissed her concern. So many people want to associate with our family. Without Clara's idea, how would we know if Elena truly wants to be with us? Right, the girl's been decent, almost 3 years now, just not generous. She fusses over the 100,000 like it's the end of the world. Her mother's voice carried deep disappointment. Her father added the final blow. She wasn't raised by us. So unlike Clara, even without blood ties, Clara's the perfect lady for our family. Yeah, not sure if after the test, bringing Elena back will embarrass us. Their voices faded as they fell asleep. Elena didn't open her eyes, but tears streamed down her cheeks silently. They had truly gone all out, holding high positions in society, yet lowering themselves to act as a working-class couple with her. But why? Why did having money give them the right to interfere with her life like this? Was she supposed to feel guilty because she valued money? Money she had earned through blood, sweat, and tears. If she had grown up like Clara in the same environment, with all those advantages and a good education, would she be any different? But Elena was just a kid who grew up in an orphanage with no parents. People used to give her strange looks in school, which is why she became a loner with a strong personality. She worked tirelessly to get into a decent college, graduated, and even secured an okay job. Before her parents found her, Elena was prepared to remain an orphan forever, never experiencing parental love. But they appeared, and all the hidden hopes inside her surged outward. She believed she could finally have a happy home. Even if it was poor and life was tough, she was still young and believed she could make money to help them. But it seemed she was just unlucky. She had stomach cancer, and then she discovered that the parents she had been dreaming of were deceiving her all along. This night felt endless. Elena couldn't sleep at all, her stomach hurting unbearably. Just as she contemplated getting up for some medicine, someone knocked urgently on the door of their small rented apartment. The knocking was insistent. Someone was in a real hurry. Her parents, awakened by the noise, grumbled in annoyance. Who is that, disturbing people so early? Elena was closest to the door. With red, swollen eyes, she sighed and opened it. A police officer in uniform stood outside, surveying her before asking, "You're Elena, right? Do you remember where you were last night?" His tone irritated her, but knowing she had to cooperate, she answered, "I was running errands, delivering pastries." Her parents were up now too. Hearing it was the police, they frowned and stepped in front of Elena as if they were going to support her. "Officer, did something happen to our daughter?" Elena stared at their backs, feeling deeply conflicted. They always acted as though they cared about her. But if they truly did, why would they lie to her for 3 years? The officer's voice snapped her back to reality. "Elena, you're a suspect in a theft case. You need to come with us for questioning." Her parents' eyes widened in shock, staring at Elena incredulously. That instinctive look of suspicion felt like a knife piercing her already shattered heart. "I didn't steal anything," Elena said firmly. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Finally, her parents awkwardly shifted their gaze. "Officer, there must be some mistake, right? We checked the surveillance. The only suspicious person entering and exiting the area was Elena." The cop explained formally, his tone growing sterner. "Elena, that necklace is valuable. If you took it, you better hand it over." Elena was furious. Her stomach cramps intensified with her anger. "You have no proof. How can you just decide it was me? The only suspicious person was you. Please cooperate." Her father quickly tried to calm the situation. "It's just a necklace, no big deal. We can pay for it." "Yeah? How much could a necklace be worth?" Hearing her parents say that, Elena froze. It wasn't about whether they could afford it or not. They had already decided it was her who took it. But Elena had merely run an errand at the mansion. What necklace could she have taken? The cops seemed to find her parents' words odd too. This isn't about compensating anyone. It's about right and wrong. That necklace is $1 million pink diamond. Can you really pay for that? $1 million pink diamond. Those words seemed to hit her parents hard, their faces turning pale. Her mother turned, frowning at Elena. Where did you go last night? Her tone was partly questioning, partly guilty. Elena felt mocked. I went to the mansion on the outskirts. Delivered pastries for Clara. You went to the mansion. Her mother's voice rose, but she quickly covered her mouth in regret. Her father gave Elena a long look. Elena, tell me, what did you see? I saw things you didn't want me to see, obviously. Elena didn't hold back. Hearing her words, her parents seemed to freeze, completely silent. After what felt like an eternity, her father spoke again, carefully choosing his words. About who we are. We didn't mean to keep it from you. Can you understand? Elena didn't respond, but her silence spoke volumes. They had no choice but to get into the squad car and head to the station. Inside the station, the girl Elena saw the night before was waiting. Her eyes were red from crying, her skin so pale it was noticeable. She looked pitiful. Elena's parents rushed over to her immediately. Clara, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Your eyes are all red. Elena caught her reflection in a mirror. Her own eyes were swollen from a night of crying. She smirked sarcastically. Even the cop who had been cold towards her looked confused. How come Elena's parents suddenly cared so much about the victim and acted like they were close friends? The girl sweetly said, Dad, Mom, you're here. With that one sentence, the eavesdropping officers looked as though they'd been struck by lightning. They glanced at Elena, then the girl, and finally at her plainly dressed parents. How on earth were they all connected? Elena's parents realized they couldn't pretend to be oblivious anymore. They introduced themselves to the cops reluctantly. Sorry, officers. Both Elena and Clara are our daughters. This is really just a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. Clara stamped her foot, pouting in frustration. Dad, Mom, that was my birthday gift you got me. I know my sister has been through a lot, but that necklace means so much to me. Mom, Dad, you can't play favorites. With just a few words, Clara portrayed herself as a little girl upset over parental favoritism. Elena saw a flicker of sympathy flash across her parents' faces. Her mother grabbed Clara's hand, soothing her gently. Come on now, she's still your sister. We'll get you more necklaces, okay? They didn't even bother double-checking. They assumed Elena took the necklace. That superior attitude really rubbed Elena the wrong way, and she couldn't hold back anymore. I already said I didn't take the necklace. Her sudden outburst left her parents and Clara dumbfounded. Her father massaged his temples in frustration. If not you, then who? Clara is not the troublemaking type. If she says it's missing, it's missing. Anyway, you knew we were hiding it from you. Why didn't you speak up last night? We got Clara an expensive necklace and you only got a pastry. Aren't you upset? Once more, Elena realized her standing wasn't on par with Clara in her parents' minds. They thought she'd retaliate now that she knew the truth. But it never occurred to them that Clara could be causing trouble. While Elena didn't envy Clara's lavish gift, facing the trust her parents placed in Clara and their suspicion of her felt like vinegar poured into her wounds, making them fester. Clara stood behind them, flashing Elena a defiant look. Their eyes locked, and Elena understood. From the moment she received that delivery call the previous day, everything had been part of Clara's plan, all designed to highlight their differences. Well, she nailed it. Elena let out a bitter laugh, but her pride wouldn't allow her to accept the label of a thief. Not looking at her parents, she turned to the cops. Officers, I assure you I didn't take the necklace. You can investigate. Also, might I suggest you thoroughly search the mansion? If it turns out I took it, I'll apologize. If not, I expect an apology from her. Clara's face went stiff. She had planned everything but didn't expect Elena to defy her parents' narrative. She only saw Elena as obedient, never realizing that before finding them, Elena had lived fiercely on her own. The cops noticed Clara's expression and seemed to understand something. They looked at Elena, then her parents, and proceeded with the investigation. The focus shifted from Elena's apartment to the mansion. Half an hour passed swiftly. Elena sat there as calm as possible. Clara was jittery, constantly eyeing the door. When the officer walked in with the necklace, looking displeased, Clara appeared visibly distressed. Miss Clara, we found the necklace under your bed. Elena's parents spun around, staring at Clara in disbelief. Clara, didn't you say the necklace was? Her mother's voice trailed off as she glanced at Elena with a hint of guilt. Clara's expression hardened, but she forced a smile. Sorry, I was careless and misunderstood my sister. But we're family, so can't we just drop this? Her hopeful words seemed charming on the surface. Elena scoffed, clearly not on board. Does she think I'm a fool? When it was about pinning the blame, family didn't matter, huh? She never saw Elena as family, only cared now that it backfired on her. When Elena remained silent, Clara welled up with tears. I know I was wrong. Will you forgive me this once? She pleaded, clutching Elena's hand. Elena hated it when people touched her, especially when Clara gripped tightly as if trying to dig her nails into her skin. Elena recoiled slightly, causing Clara to stumble backward. Her acting was pathetic, the trick was amateurish. Yet Elena's parents fell for it. Nuff, Elena. Your sister's just young. She didn't know any better. Can't you be a bit more forgiving? Her mother defended fragile Clara on the floor. She's always had health issues. Why did you push her? If her health's bad, mine's perfect. Getting stomach cancer so young, that's easy for me. Elena replied sarcastically. Stomach cancer? Her parents' eyes widened. Why would you get stomach cancer? What do you think? Elena smirked smugly, and they fell silent. Health issues, bearing genetics, are usually caused by a few things. Long periods without food, irregular meals, poor diet, you name it. How come you never told us? Her mother rebuked, her eyes now wet. She looked genuinely concerned. It stirred something in Elena too. But seeing her parents soften their attitude towards her, Clara wasn't happy about it. Her almond-shaped eyes flashed with malice as she rolled her eyes. Sister, stomach cancer isn't a minor illness. Have you been to the hospital, got any medical records? Elena raised an eyebrow. What, you think I'm lying? Clara shook her head. Sister, you look pretty healthy to me. I have a classmate whose family member has stomach issues, and they're really skinny. Maybe it was a misdiagnosis. Helena's parents thought Clara's reasoning made sense. Who gets diagnosed with something so serious but still lives life strong and healthy, even working part-time jobs? They probably thought Elena said it for attention, to fool them. Seeing their expressions change, Elena couldn't be bothered to explain further. She just felt a bit colder inside. Elena was the kind of person who held grudges. To her, they no longer felt like family. But just because she stayed silent didn't mean they did. You're truly unbelievable, using such tricks to deceive us. Apologize to Clara right now. Looking at the parents she had spent 3 years with, Elena felt like she never knew them. I need to apologize to Clara. She fell and accused me of stealing. It's slander. She should apologize to me. Hearing her words, her parents looked a bit embarrassed but quickly regained their composure. It's all in the family. No need to argue about slander. It's just a misunderstanding. We know you're upset, but perhaps you don't understand. Our family's worth is only around $10 million. Whatever you want in the future, we'll get it for you. Can we just let this go? Elena coldly looked at the three of them and shook her head slowly. No. Her parents didn't expect her to be so unyielding. People like them, always in high places, rarely had anyone defy them. Now they were losing face repeatedly because of Elena. Her mother suppressed her annoyance. Elena, must you be so aggressive? Clara apologized, but you didn't accept it and even pushed her. What exactly do you want? You weren't like this before. You were so understanding. Elena felt even more ironic. Understanding, sure, she used to be quite understanding. But what did she get in return? Her hard-earned money, her health, even her reputation. They weren't even willing to leave her those. As their daughter, did she owe them? But thinking of the $100,000, Elena finally smirked. Want me to drop this? Fine, return my $100,000. What excuse will you use this time? Can't pay it back. Hearing her mention the money again, her parents' faces darkened. Her father furrowed his brow as if she'd said something embarrassing. It's just $100,000. Do you really have to bring it up again and again, Elena? Aren't you being a little petty? As our daughter, $100,000 should be nothing to you. His arrogance and pride were blatant, prompting Elena to let out a snort of laughter. Sure, for a rich family's daughter, $100,000 is nothing. But for me, it's the blood, sweat, and tears of the last 3 years. My official salary is $6,000 a month, plus $4,000 from part-time jobs. Paying rent and supporting 3 people. I scraped together that $100,000 to help you pay off debts. And now you say I'm being petty. Elena's questioning angered them, yet they had no words to counter. That's exactly how these 3 years had gone. They lived in her rental, spending her money without a second thought, always assuming they'd repay her later, never considering how much she was sacrificing. Elena heard her mother mutter something. Weren't you used to growing up like that? Why can't you adjust to us? Her father stayed silent, but his expression showed he agreed with her mother. Just like that, Elena's last bit of hope for them vanished. To them, Elena was used to hardship growing up, so she could endure more. All the compromises she made for family became expected. Elena felt as though she was being torn apart, every inch of her body in pain. Not wanting to waste more words on these out-of-touch aristocrats, she sat up and repeated what she had said before. For me to let this go. Return my $100,000. Her voice was soft but shook them to their core. Looking at her, they seemed to realize they were about to lose something important. Clara's eyes flickered. Mom, Dad, if the $100,000 is so important to her, let's just give it to her. We'll make it up to her later. We're family after all. No grudge lasts overnight. Elena's parents considered it, realizing Elena might be right. Fine, Elena, we'll give you the $100,000. But you must drop this matter. It was just a test for you, and you've done well these 3 years. That $100,000 isn't significant. However, you can't behave like this in the future. As our daughter, what can't you have? A mere $100,000. Even the nearby police officers were at a loss for words at their bizarre sense of superiority. What a weird attitude. Unable to even appreciate their own child. Ignoring them, Elena checked the text notification of the payment, explained the situation to the police, and prepared to leave. Her parents were stunned. Where are you going? Home. Her mother frowned. Back to that rental? It's so shabby. Come back to the mansion with us. Shabby. Hearing that word, Elena suddenly remembered their first New Year's together. Cramped into the rental, they watched the Spring Festival gala, eating veggie dumplings together. Her parents had been smiling from ear to ear. With Elena here, this is the happiest New Year we've ever had. They hugged her, and for the first time, Elena felt the warmth of having parents. Blushing and tearing up. It was then that she swore she would make money and help them pay off their debts. She didn't think much at the time when she woke up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. The house was always empty. She just assumed they were out working, never questioning it. But now, looking back, Elena realized her mother looked at her with disdain at the dinner table. And after that hug she remembered for so long, they were visibly uncomfortable, as if bugs were crawling on them. To them, Elena was that bug. She didn't stop walking and headed straight to the hospital after leaving the police station. The scenery outside the cab window kept passing by as Elena took a deep breath, feeling clearer than ever before. Family like this. She was better off without them. At the hospital, the bodyguard who had witnessed everything looked relieved and showed a hint of sympathy towards Elena. He never expected the parents who always seemed to dotingly love Clara would be so fed up with their own daughter. He felt embarrassed to admit how thankful he was that Elena hadn't attended the family reunion the previous day. As a bodyguard, he had seen a lot while entering and leaving the mansion. Elena's parents had Clara prepare dresses and makeup, and Clara did so diligently. But she set aside 2 outfits. One looked like a tacky flea market find, while the other was quite normal. He hadn't thought much of it until he saw her hide the good one. It was all about setting someone up for humiliation, making someone look foolish, then turning the accusations against them to ruin Elena's reputation. But her meticulous planning was all for naught, as the intended victim never showed, ruining her malicious plot. Thinking back, the bodyguard nearly laughed but held back. Standing at the door, waiting for Elena's family, he genuinely wondered how the parents would react once they realized Elena was truly ill. Elena's family soon arrived at the hospital. This time, they all showed up, including her parents and Clara. Though none of them seemed sympathetic, they looked more like they were here to cause a scene rather than visit a patient. Before the bodyguard could say anything, Elena's father kicked the hospital room door open. Elena, how long are you going to keep causing drama? We gave you back that $100,000 as promised compensation. If you keep this up, we'll disown you. The Clara followed, pretending to calm things down. Dad, don't be too upset. Maybe Elena just isn't thinking straight. But really, Elena, why end up in the hospital? Isn't that just inviting ridicule from strangers? Her words only made Elena's parents angrier. The higher someone's status, the more they cared about their image. At this moment, they genuinely felt that disowning their daughter might be better. Elena's mother moved closer to scold her, but when she turned, her voice faltered. What? What is that? A young nurse who had held back long enough finally spoke out. Are you blind? It's medical equipment. Are you family or foes? She just had surgery for stomach cancer and is still very weak. You all stormed in like this. Who raised you people? There are other patients here too, you know. Elena's family, accustomed to looking down on everyone, were never scolded like this. Yet seeing everyone around glare at them angrily, they knew they were in the wrong. That one nurse's comment, "Stomach cancer, you do have stomach cancer," made Elena's mother stagger back, nearly falling. Her father barely caught her, both of them shocked. Elena, why didn't you tell us you had surgery? Elena sneered. Tell you, didn't you accuse me of lying when I mentioned being sick before? When I said I needed that 100,000, you said I was greedy. The words hit like slaps to the face, leaving them looking guilty and ashamed. Clara tried to salvage the situation, but before she could speak, Elena cut her off. Clara, planning to accuse me of lying again. I still have records on my phone from when you sent me on errands to the mansion. Don't think you're that clever. If you want to stay home, it's all yours. It has nothing to do with me. I've been an orphan all my life, growing up and beyond. Got it. Elena made it crystal clear she was cutting ties with them. Her parents looked as though they'd been struck by lightning, realizing the obedient daughter they once had was gone. Though Clara stood before them, the distance felt vast. That day, they were repenting by Elena's bedside for a long time. But the hospital staff and fellow patients knew what they had done, standing firmly by Elena's side and promptly escorting them out. Elena thanked those who helped her with a genuine smile. Since that day, her parents realized Elena's difficult upbringing wasn't her fault. They owed her. Learning about her experiences over those 3 years shattered their hearts. They tried calling, but Elena had already blocked their numbers. Every new number was blocked as well. Soon, Elena's phone buzzed with transfer notifications. She watched each transaction, hundreds of thousands coming through, and accepted them without remorse. After all, it was their debt to her. Elena spent a month recovering in the hospital. After being discharged, she learned about her family's situation online. Clara was exposed, and Elena's parents kicked her out in anger and frustration. Bitter, she sold company secrets to rivals, leading to her arrest. Before her imprisonment, she screamed that she was the real heiress, appearing utterly deranged. Elena's parents' business, once mighty, crumbled under rival attacks, taking just 3 years to implode from a mighty empire to rubble. They who were so high and mighty ended up bankrupt. Just as they had deceitfully told Elena, becoming debt-ridden commoners. But this time, they owed not just millions, but over 100 million, an amount impossible to repay in a lifetime. As for Elena, she had long moved on. Using the compensation they had given her, she bought a house in a different city and built her own home. In this world, no one deserved her effort or attempts to please, except for herself. Elena focused on loving herself and nurturing her own beautiful flower. A new beginning on her own terms. Sometimes the people who hurt us most are the ones we'd move mountains for. But Elena's story reminds us that we don't owe anyone our happiness. Not even family. Thank you for joining me on Elena's journey of betrayal, courage, and ultimately, freedom. If this story moved you, please hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories like this one. Until next time, remember, you are worth more than their leftovers.